Where did I put the headphones? They're in the box. So a couple of days ago, box arrived for me in the post from the wonderful people at Polar Audio. In that box were these bad boys. The beyerdynamic DT1770 Pros. They'd seen that I'd been using the DT880s for work and were like, hey Ben, would you like some new headphones? We'd love to know what you think of them. And I was like, of course I'd love some new headphones. Who doesn't want new headphones? And so here we are. As soon as I got the headphones out of the box, there are a few things I really like to start with. First of all, the case was really nice. It's a bit big, but these headphones aren't really targeted at people who are going to be just slinging them in a backpack and taking them on the move, so that didn't bother me so much. The case itself was really nice to the touch. Inside it had loads of space for all the stuff you get with it, and that was something else I really liked. You get two sets of pads, one set of velour pads and then a set of leatherette pads. The second thing I really liked is that you get two cables of these. These headphones, unlike my 880s, have a removable cable. One of the things I used to do to my poor 880s is run them over with my wheelie office chair every day without fail. So when the chair finally beats the cable, I wouldn't have to go out and buy a new set of headphones completely. I could just get a spare cable. And two, it's nice to have two sets of cables. And they both come with these. The first thing I did was get these headphones and just listen to them. They can look cool, they can be comfortable, but if they don't sound good, they don't sound good. Putting the headphones on for a first time, they're very tight, they're proper clamping down on your head. I wouldn't say uncomfortable because the cups weren't putting too much pressure, but you definitely knew they were on your head. My first impressions of the sound for these, they're super rich, like really warm, and they're just giving your ears a good old hug, you know. They're definitely a bit boosted. The bass is so much stronger compared to my 880s or even my beloved V-Moders. But that being said, it's not like super muddy low end. It was powerful, but not muddy. So when it comes to headphones, I have three modes: listener mode, music producer mode, and I have my sound designer mode. For listening, they're amazing. I put them on, was listening to songs that I know really well, some of them I own, some of them that I just really like and I've been listening to loads recently, and I was hearing new things. The bass was really rich, the sound was warm, had a really nice satisfying width to it. It was lovely. The second mode I have is music producer mode, which I spent 7 hours yesterday making tunes and I was zoned in all day. As I mentioned, they were really tight when I first put them on. By about half an hour in, I'd totally forgotten that these were on my head, and then when I took them off at the end of the day, they actually weren't as uncomfortable as I thought. I make drum and bass, so having that rich bass was really useful. I definitely knew what I was doing with the low end of my tracks way more than I usually do. Also, having access to that stereo width that they provide meant that I could give my tracks a lot more flavour in regards to panning left and right, and just being aware of what effect doing different things to tracks had on how they sounded. And being closed back as opposed to my semi-opens of the 880s, being shut off from the outside world meant that I could spend 7 hours making tunes at my desk and my housemate could dance around the kitchen singing ABBA, and I was none the wiser. And that leaves me with sound designer mode. And the comments here are pretty much exactly the same as music producer mode, apart from one thing, and that was just being aware that they are bassier, they're not flat. I did notice with a comparison on a dialogue track between the 770s and the 880s, female voice sounded a little bit more unpleasant on the 880s because I feel like there is this little dip in response around the kind of mids to top mids area. Beyond that kind of EQing and knowing your frequency response, they're so much better. I've definitely converted to closed back. The reason I went with semi-open back before was because I didn't want to feel shut off from the world because I was going to be wearing them for long periods of time. However, that kind of awareness of what's going on in your mix that the closed back and the 1770s give in particular is just a much bigger pro than not feeling a bit strange when you take them off after long periods of time. So I cannot recommend these enough. They're great. They really are great. I want to really thank the people at Polar Audio for sending them out to me, and I'm hoping you found this review useful for you.